Sure, murderers often have a lot in common with each other, mostly the whole murder thing, but does that mean they're all destined to be friends? These killers' beefs prove that it certainly does not. John Wayne Gacy confessed to approximately 30 murders in 1978, 6 years after he committed his first. 2 years before his 1994 execution, Gacy spoke to CBS 2's Walter Jacobson for more than 2.5 hours, during which he flat out denied the crimes to which he had previously confessed. But the most heated moments in Jacobson's interview involved other killers. When asked what he thought of Jeffrey Dahmer, Gacy chose to discuss the fact that Dahmer was not declared insane during his trial. Gacy strongly believed that Dahmer's case represented a failure of the justice system.
Because if Jeffrey Dahmer doesn't meet the requirements for insanity, then I'd hate like hell to run into the guy that does.
After that, Jacobson mentioned names like David Berkowitz and Ted Bundy and asked if Gacy felt any kinship with them.
No, God, I hate that when they put me in the same club with them.
Between 1965 and 1968, 3 children were killed in Staffordshire, England, in what became known as the Cannock Chase murders. Raymond Morris was ultimately convicted on 1 murder charge, but was widely believed to be responsible for the other 2. He started his life sentence at HM Prison Durham in 1969, just over 3 years after convicted child murderer Ian Brady arrived at the facility. The 2 killers, both among the nation's most notorious, met in prison and fought a couple of unusual battles. Brady struck first, pouring hot tea on Morris. He brought his tea to a boil and added sugar, ensuring that the scalding liquid would stick to Morris's head. This landed Brady in solitary confinement for 28 days. Morris later retaliated, pouring hot water over Brady. He received the same sentence. So what started the beef? It's believed that the fight broke out over which of the 2 killers was more notorious. Ed Kemper, also known as the co-ed killer, lives in the California Medical Facility in Vacaville, where he will most likely die.
I was really aware of the evil I was capable of. The murderous violence.
After killing his grandparents in 1964 when he was only 15 years old, he was incorrectly diagnosed with schizophrenia and spent the next 6 years at Atascadero State Hospital. Not long after being released on parole on his 21st birthday, he carried out a string of murders in 1972 and 1973, the last of them being his own mother and her best friend. The November 1st, 1973 issue of the Santa Cruz Sentinel covered a portion of the co-ed killer's trial. Kemper was asked about a water-throwing incident that occurred during his stay at the San Mateo County Jail, and he described his bizarre relationship with Herbert William Mullin. Mullin killed 13 people in California, his killing spree overlapping with Kemper's. Kemper was very candid about his feelings toward his fellow serial killer. He described throwing water on Mullin to shut him up. Kemper considered Mullin a nuisance, but he developed a system to solve that problem. He rewarded Mullin's silence with peanuts, positively conditioning him to be a model inmate. He said, "That's called behavior modification treatment." This strange arrangement led Kemper to call Mullin mentally ill. Mullin died in 2022, but Kemper is still serving his sentence as of this video. Technical writer turned true crime author Sandra London was romantically involved with not 1, but 2 serial killers. Gerard Schaefer, also known as the Killer Cop, and Danny Rolling, also known as the Gainesville Ripper. Though she'd only dated Schaefer in high school, before he actually became the Killer Cop, the same cannot be said for her relationship with Rolling, who she became involved with while he was incarcerated and awaiting execution in Florida. London published her first book, Killer Fiction, in 1990. Composed mostly of Schaefer's short stories, letters, and art, it provides a unique glimpse into the mind of a killer. In a revised version of the book, Schaefer hurls several insults at Rolling, calling him a coward and an unhinged screed. As if to counter him, the back of the book features quotes from numerous serial killers, including Rolling. He wrote, "This guy's got real problems, doesn't he?" Schaefer's twisted and delusioned writings left a bitter taste in my mouth. He boasts he is the greatest killer of women this century. How could anyone blatantly brag about such a thing? This stuff is well-written puke. I can write better than Schaefer, period. Interestingly, Rolling and Schaefer were both incarcerated in the same prison. Talk about tension. In a letter to London, Rolling suggested that Schaefer was in danger. He was quickly proven right. Schaefer was stabbed to death by another inmate in December 1995. Though it was deemed to be the result of an argument that stemmed from something trivial, it's believed that it was actually due to the fact that Schaefer had worked as sort of an informant while behind bars and had drawn the ire of a well-connected fellow prisoner. Pedro Rodrigues Filho, also known as Killer Petey, was a vigilante serial killer who may have inspired Dexter.
Trust me, I definitely understand.
Rodrigues started his career by robbing and killing drug dealers, gaining notoriety across Sao Paulo, Brazil. He reportedly lost his pregnant girlfriend to gang violence, sparking an escalation in his campaign of violence. He was convicted of killing 71 people, all of them supposed criminals, though many believed he killed over 100 people. After he was arrested, Rodrigues killed several fellow prisoners, consistently elongating his sentence. One of his potential targets escaped his grasp, Francisco de Assis Pereira, who was known as the Park Maniac. In an interview with TV Record, Rodrigues confessed that he had a strong desire to kill the Park Maniac. He said, "I can't see him from afar because it makes me so sick. It makes me sick when I see that guy. That guy ruins us. It may be a day before I get out, but if I put an end to a disgrace like that, I'll send him to hell." Killer Petey never got him. He was murdered himself in an ambush in March 2023, about 5 years after he'd been released from prison. In 1990, 4 convicted serial killers met every day for a game of bridge at San Quentin State Prison's death row. The players were Randy Stephen Kraft, William Bonin, Doug Clark, and Lawrence Bittaker. Kraft was a scorecard killer who was sent to San Quentin after police found a coded list of his alleged kills in 1983. Bonin was the freeway killer, a nickname he shared with Kraft. Clark, along with an accomplice, was the Sunset Strip killer who targeted sex workers in Los Angeles. Bittaker was one of the 2 toolbox killers who kidnapped, tortured, and murdered 5 girls in 1979. San Francisco-based writer Mark McNamara observed and interviewed the 4 killers about their daily game. Apparently, Kraft and Bonin never got along. McNamara described the breakdown of each game. Bridge requires 2 teams of 2, so Kraft played with Clark while Bonin partnered with Bittaker. McNamara offhandedly mentioned that Kraft and Bonin, quote, loathe each other and refused to play together. This kept them from playing on the same side, but they still joined in card games every day. As to why the hatred, no one is really sure, but Kraft took his game of bridge rather seriously and Bonin was the weakest player of the 4, by far. We're not exactly sure when the game stopped, but it was certainly over by 1996. That's when Bonin was executed for his crimes.